What's up, guys? This is Matt Singer from ScreenCrush.com, and today we are counting down the top 5 worst video game movies of all time. For over 20 years, Hollywood has tried to find the formula to adapt hugely successful video games into hugely successful movies. And for over 20 years, they've pretty much failed every single time. With one or two notable exceptions, a history of video game movies is also a history of the worst mainstream movies over the same period. Now, on our last episode about terrible CGI, our number one pick was Mortal Kombat: Annihilation. So, in the interest of variety, we're excluding that movie from our list. Otherwise, it would definitely make the cut. Thanks to magnificent scenes like this one.
Mother! You're alive! Too bad you will die.
Okay, so besides Mortal Kombat Annihilation, what are the worst video game movies? Let's count them down, starting with number 5, Wing Commander. In this 1999 space adventure based on a hugely popular game series that ran throughout the 1990s, the Terran Confederation is locked in conflict with the evil Kilrathi Empire. And you know they have to be evil because their name is freaking Kilrathi. Now, you could argue that there are worse video game movies than Wing Commander, but this is my case. A lot of those crappy movies are based on video games that don't lend themselves well to movies. They had confusing stories, or they had no stories at all. Wing Commander 3 and 4, the games that came out in the years immediately preceding the Wing Commander movie, featured hours of full-motion video, with a good story and a great cast. This should have been a slam dunk. Instead, it was a big old brick, and the movie paled in comparison to the cinematics from the game. The Wing Commander game starred Mark Hamill, John Rhys-Davies, Thomas F. Wilson, and Malcolm McDowell. The Wing Commander movie? That starred Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard. Mark Hamill. Freddie Prinze Jr. Enough said. Next up, number 4, Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. The Street Fighter series is special amongst video game franchises for having 2 terrible adaptations. The 1994 movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, and a 2009 movie starring Kristen Kruk called Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. Now, they're both pretty crummy, but I give a slight edge to the more recent movie because, well, it's called Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li, but there's no legend, and almost none of it is about people fighting in the street, or even in a tournament like the classic video game. Instead, it's about Chun-Li, played by Kristen Kruk, wandering through Asia as she searches for her missing father, who's been kidnapped many years before by Bison. Now, this Bison looks nothing like the guy in the games, but that's not necessarily a big deal. What is a big deal is the fact that he's described as the son of Irish missionaries, but for some reason in this scene where he's a baby, he's very clearly Asian, and also he has an Irish accent, even though as a baby orphan, he grows up in Thailand. Still, as bad as Bison is in this movie, and let's be clear, he's very bad, nothing is quite as bad as Chris Klein playing Super Cop Charlie Nash. Let's just see a brief sample of his remarkable performance.
You just inherited a big problem. I've tracked him through 11 major cities on 4 continents and never come close, not once. Nash out.
I don't think if you asked Chris Klein to give you a bad performance, he could do a much better job than this. On the plus side, there's a fight scene with a song where the main lyrics are Street Fighter, Street Fighter, Street Fighter, Street Fighter. On to number 3, Double Dragon. I played the Double Dragon game a lot in the arcade and on Nintendo when I was a kid. That was about 2 brothers beating up gang dudes while they try to rescue the hero's girlfriend. The movie, on the other hand, is set in the post-apocalyptic future of 2007 and involves magical amulets and prophecies and jet ski chases and Robert Patrick looking like Vanilla Ice's dad and then sometimes looking like a big shadow and then sometimes becoming 2 weird-looking monsters. This is the big dramatic reveal of Billy and Jimmy Lee in their game-inspired costumes. There's a lot of forgettable martial arts fighting, an absurd amount of flannel, and truly one of the most upsetting movie characters I have ever seen. Oh my god. Now, I always said my favorite character in Double Dragon is the dude who looks like he was bitten by a radioactive testicle. Double Dragon, everybody! It'll give you nightmares for eternity. Next up, number 2, Super Mario Brothers. The first movie ever adapted from a video game was this unholy and bizarre mess that bears almost no resemblance to the classic Nintendo side-scroller about a pair of Italian plumbers and their attempts to rescue a princess from an evil turtle. Okay, so when you put it like that, you realize this story may not have been ideal for a faithful cinematic adaptation. Still, how did they come up with this version? The games are so bright and colorful and fun, and the movie is not. It's directed by 2 of the creators of Max Headroom, and it's dark and dingy and weird. Yeah, Mario and Luigi are in it, and there's a princess to rescue, and Bowser is here too in the form of Dennis Hopper, kind of looking like Max Headroom actually. But the setting is way more like Blade Runner than the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yo, maybe we got knocked unconscious for 100 years and we woke up in Manhattan of the future.
Maybe the Bronx of today. No wonder they tell you never to come up here.
Why are there jokes about porno movies in Super Mario Brothers? How is this okay? Think of all the people who had to have signed off on this, who read the script or watched the dailies and went, yeah, this looks pretty good. I mean, we took a beloved childhood icon, and then we set it in the dark alternate 1985 from Back to the Future Part 2. I don't see any problem with that. Hey, could we get more freakishly creepy here? Did you see the big testicle man from Double Dragon? That's our competition. We need to step up our game. The tagline for the movie was, anything is possible. You just gotta believe in it. Personally, I would have gone with, it's a me, a horribly terrible movie. Okay, let's reveal the number 1 worst video game movie of all time, Alone in the Dark. You didn't think I was going to do a whole top 5 about the worst video game movies ever without mentioning Uwe Boll, did you? Hell, I could have done this whole list with just Uwe Boll movies. There's House of the Dead, Blood Rain, In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege Tale, Blood Rain 2, Postal, Alone in the Dark 2, Far Cry, another Blood Rain, another In the Name of the King, another In the Name of the King. God, he's made so many of these things. Want to know how one man could continue to make so many terrible movies? I'll let the man himself explain.
The reason I'm able to do this kind of movies is I have a tax shelter fund in Germany, and if you invest in a movie in Germany, you get basically 50% back from the government. And what is interesting for richer people, basically, to invest in movies because they are covered with 50%.
So basically, Uwe Boll could crank out these pieces of dreck, and no matter how bad they were, the investors still got their money back? The worst of the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst is Alone in the Dark, starring Christian Slater and Tara Reid. The problems begin immediately, like literally from the opening crawl, which is maybe the most incomprehensible I have ever seen. See if you can figure this out. Okay, is a long-lost civilization. Yapkani is two worlds. Oh wait, evil, something evil slipped through one of the worlds, and they vanished. The Yapkani vanished. There's artifacts. I forget it. I'm already lost. And it goes on like this for several more minutes. Here's a fun game. Try to figure out what is happening in this scene. I promise you it isn't any easier in context. Here's Uwe Boll's commentary for that moment.
I did the same, so we shot it, it was really dark, and I think this is a video game as a movie right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Those great video games where the entire screen is dark and you can't see anything and you have absolutely no idea what's going on. Those are my favorite games. The movie is so baffling, I'm honestly having a hard time making enough sense of it to make fun of it. Instead, I will let Uwe Boll tell you, in his own words, one last time, what his goals were with this monstrosity.
My goal in general is to do something out of a video game what makes it interesting for all kind of audiences and not only for video game experts. And at the same time, to keep the mood and the characters or the basic story from the game. And some stories have it and some stories they don't have it.
So I guess this is one of those examples of a story that doesn't have it. For Screen Crush, I'm Matt Singer. Thanks for watching, and for even more, make sure to subscribe, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and get the latest movie and TV news on ScreenCrush.com.